So the Oakland Raiders, many people had their heads being scratched when they chose Darius Hayward-Bay over Michael Crabtree with the 7th overall pick. And then comes the pick of Michael Mitchell for the Oakland Raiders. A guy from Ohio that you had as a 7th round grade, Mike Mayock. Few people even had them on their draft board, let's be honest. Now I'm going to ask you seriously, can he be have a rookie impact on defense and maybe try and challenge for this Pepsi Rookie of the Year award? Before you answer this question, take this into account. A lot of people criticize the Raiders for making this pick. Before the 2nd round, right at the outset of the 2nd round, this young man from Ohio got a call on his cell phone from the Chicago Bears telling him to stay by your phone. We're going to pick you. They had the 49th overall pick in the draft, and the Raiders beat him to it 2 picks beforehand, and that's why the Bears traded out, because the guy they had targeted, this safety from Ohio, was no longer there because the Raiders went ahead and grabbed him.
And if that's the case, I owe the Oakland Raiders an apology. I said he'd last to at least the 5th or 6th round, absolutely no doubt about it. There was a buzz about the kid late because of his pro day. If that's the case and more than one team really wanted him, you got to step up and make a play for him. And I told you 5 times, I've never seen tape on the kid. I can't bang the table either way. I will tell you, free safety is a position of need for the Oakland Raiders. So there is a scheme fit for this kid in Oakland. And as far as that Rookie of the Year thing, who knows?
Right. You know, who does know? So, they have some real players in that secondary. You know, I mean, you got Nnamdi Asomugha, who's the best, if not perhaps the best at that position. And Jerry Angelo said, quote unquote, unfortunately, the players we targeted at 49 did not fall. And they moved out, basically. So, you know the Raiders and their drafting as intimately as anybody on this set, Coach John Gruden.
Let me tell you like this. This is what, as a former Raider, and this is true, the Oakland Raiders are a global football team. They're recognized around the world. I've been to Europe. There's Raider fans. There's a ton of Raider fans around the world. That's a fact. Al Davis loves the Oakland Raiders, and I know this for a fact. He could care less what any of us think of this picture. Period.
Correct. Definitely correct.
You really think so, or do you think he does care? He wants to put on the airs that he doesn't care, but he
wants to win.
He listens. He's out there. He's probably sitting there right now listening to what we're saying.
That's it. He wants to win. That's the number one
Period.
thing.
End of story. Just win, baby. Just win.
And he means that.
Well, I'll tell you what. He beat the Chicago Bears to the punch on this kid from Ohio.
Did the Bears verify this story, or is this the guy's
Michael
agent?
Mitchell told? No, Michael Mitchell said this. I'm reading from a Chicago Tribune story that Michael Mitchell was on a Raiders media teleconference and said, hey, I got a call. I thought, quote unquote, when the Bears did that, meaning when the Bears called him at the beginning of the 2nd round telling him you're going to be a Bear, I was like, I'm going to be a Chicago Bear. That's what I was thinking. And then the Oakland Raiders beat the Bears to the punch.
Before we just get too far into patting anybody on the back, let's just watch the guy put that uniform on in the National Football League. Let's just see him evaluate.
Understood, of course,
whether he can play.
But you could say that about anybody in this draft.
No, but I mean,
but we were on this set yesterday, and evaluators were talking to other evaluators for the last 24 hours saying, you know what, the Raiders, there they go again. Al Davis just doing all sorts of kooky stuff.
But that doesn't mean that, did the Chicago Bears not take a deep offensive lineman who they knew had a back problem? Everybody in the league knew had a back problem in the 1st round of the draft last year?
Chris Williams.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, but before we get, I think, too far into this and saying that all of a sudden now the Chicago Bears could be the holy grail of drafting, there have been questionable picks by several teams. And again, I say we still have to see this guy play. And his play will dictate whether he's a...
But the thing is, even if Chicago would have taken him, Mayock would have said the exact same thing.
Right.
It's not that we're not picking on the Raiders. It's just the player going early, and the Raiders just happen to be the team to take
This is a guy that wasn't picked to play in any All-Star games. This is a guy that was completely off the radar. I'm not saying he can or he can't play. I'm just saying not only did it shock me, it shocked every personnel evaluator I talked to last night after the draft. And that's what makes this darn thing so much fun.
Except the Bears.
Yeah, I wasn't on the horn with the Bears. That's it. Apparently. But let me tell you one consistent, and Coach Gruden can verify this. Al Davis is an icon in the NFL. He is a height, weight, speed guy. He's been to so many Super Bowls for that. He believes in his philosophy, right, Coach? Nobody's going to tell him, nobody's going to get him to change his philosophy. Last year, he took another safety in the 4th round, one of the fastest football players in the draft, Tyvon Branch from the University of Connecticut. The year before that, Stanford Rowell, a track guy from Houston, had hardly played any football. Michael Huff, one of the fastest guys in the draft. Fabian Washington, same draft with Stanford Rowell. He collects track stars. And you can agree or disagree, but philosophically, that's where he's aligned.